Hi, Jurgen. I don't know if you saw Brendan Rodgers' comment after the Nottingham Forest game where he criticised the hunger and the appetite of the Leicester players. How big a deal is it when a manager to have to call out his team in public? Have you ever been tempted to do something like that, and how satisfying is it for you that you've never had to do that in your time at Liverpool?
Yes, the question, but so whatever I say now will lead in a direction that if I never had to do it, there's some space for interpretation because by Brendan had to do it. I would really rather stay away from this. I didn't see it. I saw the game. And Nottingham, we should not forget that. It looked like all the championship teams, at home at least, did incredibly well and caused everybody problems. Cardiff caused us problems in the away game. So that's just the cup competition. And when you lose a game against... I lost cup games against lower division teams. What I exactly said after that, I can't remember that anymore. But the way I know Brendan, I think whatever he said it for one reason, because he wants to see a reaction of his players. And that's the one thing I'm concerned about. That's what I'm thinking about. And that's the Leicester team I'm thinking about. Another Leicester team which lost against Nottingham Forest. So we heard it, and hopefully we are prepared.
Thank you. Chris? Sorry.
You just mentioned like the 12 games till the international break. I mean, are you someone who's had to put the season into different segments, or it sometimes feels as though the business end of the season comes earlier and earlier? But is this a real building block period, or are we basically the business end already?
Yeah. It's a building block that goes until pretty much the 35th match day, and then there's a finishing block, 3 games. So we are still building. So now it's in the beginning of the season when you have a really good start or really bad start, whatever, and then you ask us what do we make of the start and stuff like this, and it's a start, nothing else. So we have to carry on anyway. So as long as it's not no catastrophe, you have to deal with it. And if it's a catastrophe, then probably somebody else deals with it. And that's a situation we are living in. So we create a basis, that's true, for a decisive moment in the season. I don't know exactly when that will be, but we want to be in the competitions, the different competitions, so like the cup competitions and in the Premier League then as well, as long as somehow possible in a position where we can, where the last 3-4 match days are interesting. In the Champions League, in the Premier League, and in all the others, we want to be there until the final, and then we think about how to win the final. But that was always the same, by the way. It didn't work out that often. I don't think, for us at least, it never happened that we are at this point of the year still in all four competitions. Not for us since I'm here. So that's special. And we came through this with a really tricky situation. So like having 2 of the best strikers in the world, definitely, away, not available, and with Naby Keita, a world-class midfielder, not available, so plus injury, stuff like this. So the boys did a good job, but now, how is that? Now we have to, again, clear our minds and go for it with all freshness, with all desire, with all determination, all these kind of things. And that's not, we don't go now for the Premier League, we go just into a Premier League game with all we have, and that's the plan.
Thanks, Chris. Dave, and then we finish with Dom.
Jurgen, you touched on it there. You've never actually been in this position since you arrived at Liverpool.
First time in my life.
And I just wonder.
First time in my life, because in Germany we have only 3 competitions, or 2 plus Champions League.
I was just going to ask about that, because obviously it's a process of building, and you've built this an incredibly strong squad now, and I was just wondering, in the past maybe you've not quite been able to compete in terms of squad strength with the likes of Manchester City or Chelsea, because they're able to spend so much on squad players. But I think after this process, it appears that you are now more able to compete in that sense, in terms of depth of squad. And I was just wondering whether you think like that this is the strongest squad and that you are able to compete on all four fronts now with your squad.
Yeah, this is the strongest squad, of course. There's no doubt about that. It would be a shame if that wouldn't be the case, because then we would have become weaker over the years. We always had a strong squad, and that we didn't make it in four competitions. I think I spoke about it before. We were different, really a bunch of reasons. So because we were a little bit, timing is in life important in football as well. So when you come through a brilliant December, for example, on three wheels, and then you are a bit, it gets in January a bit bumpy, and in the January the cup competitions start properly, and that means then if they're not ready, if you cannot play the players all the time, which we couldn't then in that time, if the draws are not that cool, if you play away at United or at Chelsea, then you have a problem, and that was the problems we had, So in this moment, we know we have a really good squad, but we know that other teams have really good squads as well. So again, it's not important who you have available in the long term. Very important. In the short term, not so much. It's much more important how the available players perform. And that's what we have to think about, because in the end, whoever is available, you still can only line up 11 and change 3. So the size of the squad has not such an impact, but in the mid or long term, it has a massive impact, and hopefully we can really use that, because 12 games in that period means we play every 3 days, and that's tough. And the more players you have available, the more quality, the more experienced players you have available, the bigger is the chance to win the games if we perform the way we have to.
Thank you. It's finished, Don King.
Yeah, it was just a question about Joe Gomez. Since you played Leicester in the Cup, that was his last start. He's only played 15 minutes of football since. I was just wondering what sort of empathy you have for him being in this situation where he's fit and he's ready to go again, and he's just finding hard to get involved.
Yeah, very much. It's really unlucky for Joey. Absolutely, Joey. When Joey played for us, he consistently played on an incredibly high level, one of the best centre halves in England for sure. So, but then the big injury came, little injuries came on top of that. Kobe came now in that was timing really bad. He would have played definitely Cardiff, which would have helped him to gain some rhythm, to gain some momentum, if you want. Couldn't play there because of COVID and these kind of things. So it's tough. The only thing what I can say as well, there are tougher things than being a squad player in the moment for Liverpool. There are much harder things out there in the world. So, and the only answer in football is always you have to fight through these moments, that you are ready for the moment when the situation change. That's it. How I said, if we wouldn't have, we had too often only one centre half available, or none even, we had this situation, so we couldn't have reacted differently. But the quality of the boys, and especially of Joe, who played now obviously not enough football in the last few months, is incredible, and having him in training shows just what a high quality squad we have in a moment. If somebody like Joe played only 15 minutes since, when was that game? Since Leicester, so last time, that says everything about it. It's never nice for the players, I understand that to 100%, but Joe takes it really professional so far and knows he's still a young lad and everything will be fine in the future, but in the moment it's for sure harder.